What is up YouTube? And with the RTA PvP season coming to an end, I decided to make a tier list to help some of you guys out who are either getting into PvP or are unsure in what the power levels of certain heroes are. So I decided to make this tier list to kind of help you guys out, and this is going to be centered mostly for RTA and PvP, more so for Summon Arena and RTA, right? So basically, these characters are mostly going to be from my perspective as like a turn 2 standard player. I do play like the bruiser playstyle, but I do speed contest sometimes, so there's always that. But for Cleave and CC, even though I don't play it, I have a pretty good knowledge about how strong certain characters are because, you know, I've played against some of these characters like all the time, so I will touch upon these. Probably right after I talk about, you know, the first 3 tiers, I'll show you guys a tier list for the CC and Cleave characters as well. So, you know, if you guys are playing CC or Cleave, like turn 1 playstyle, where you're just, you know, speed or die, I'll show you guys a tier list after, which will showcase, you know, what characters you probably want to build up. But for the majority of the player base that plays like this slower playstyle, I think, I'm gonna show you guys what I've encountered in my journey in RTA this season. And I think a lot of these are pretty solid in their placements. You can probably move some characters up and down their respective tier. But I'm gonna talk about, you know, just what I saw in these 4, I guess 3 different tiers for the bruisers and the turn 2 playstyle. Now I will say, Doki Doki, Veronica, and Lingluo, they're at the top of the strong tier, but you can make an argument for them to be meta defining depending on where you are in your bracket. I think if you do like to speed contest as a bruiser, Doki Doki is a very good option, so she can actually be meta defining for you if you want to speed contest with her. Veronica is like extremely powerful in the bruiser versus bruiser mirrors, and she's like god tier honestly, so you can also put her up there in that respective matchup. And Lingluo obviously is insanely strong versus CC, but overall, you know, against other playstyles, she's not as great. So just gonna say that first. Now let's look at the meta defining tiers. I'm not gonna talk about every unit because it's gonna be like a 30-minute video, and I don't really want to record that long today, unfortunately. But you guys can probably tell from watching my RTA series why these characters are up here. Plume is just like the most obnoxious broken character we have right now. There's like some counterplay to her with like Fushu and stuff like that, and like counter attackers. But the counter attackers honestly just do no damage against her because 1, she defense downs them, 2, she weaknesses them, and also she's on strive usually on like the bruiser build, so you're just permanently pushing her up. Just a really toxic character. I think it's not really a bad thing that they released her though, because it was kind of bound to happen. There was going to be a character that's like an opener that was going to be super oppressive, and that's Plume. You see it in every single gacha game, so I'm not really like mad that they released her. It's just funny that they released her right before the game launches in Asia, and they'll have like what, 7 days to pull her if they don't do any like banner extensions. So yeah, super strong character, just the best character. You can pick her into anything, she's very strong. Alongside that we have Holden, just a really safe first pick, that's why he's really good. He's not like giga busted or anything, but he's a really good safe pick, that's why he's very strong. You can play him in any playstyle. Then you have characters that, you know, Fushu and Sonya, extremely powerful healers, Fushu being stronger in like bruiser mirrors, and also Sonya just being strong overall, especially versus like Cleave and CC. And then Lily, of course, just boosting bruisers to do a ton of damage. You can make your bruisers just do a ton of damage and win like counter matchups. So, you know, if you have something, for example, like Lily Holden into Tiamat, you have a chance to win. That's how strong Lily is. And if you have like Lily Tiamat, you're just gonna like 2-shot stuff. So yeah, Tiamat, she's up here because 1, she's really good against Cleave, like the best Cleave counter for bruisers, and 2, she's really solid on defense teams, and 3, her passive damage share is just ridiculous. So really strong character. She falls off though in the later stages of Etheria effect because healing goes down, so her bloodshed kind of, you know, doesn't scale. But besides that fact, she's like really strong. Rahu, this character is either the most broken character in the game, or he's like kind of useless. And the reason why is because he has that RNG element in his follow-ups. This guy hits like a nuclear bomb. So yeah, just a really strong bruiser overall, and just an easy way to, you know, draft an early DPS. Because people end up first picking Holden. You can actually pick Rahu into it and just ban the Holden, and he has like no real counters. Only thing is, unlike Tiamat and Holden, he struggles very heavily against Cleave and CC. Now we have Freya. So the reason why I have Freya up here is because she's actually a really good speed contester, and if people are picking like Lily first pick and then pivoting into like some Cleave, you can actually pick Freya and ban protect and speed contest with her, and you always win because of the bulwark interaction on her S1. Me personally, I haven't actually built her for that or actually I have built her for that, but I haven't used her as much as I'd say, because people are starting to pick her very early in Cleave drafts as well, because, you know, turn 2 players are also speed contesting now. But she's like really good because she's the fastest unit in the game, and because of that, she's always going to be meta defining. Lilium, really good CC counter, good bruiser pick. Harder to pick than the other bruisers. You can't just slam her because she's pretty vulnerable. She takes a lot of damage, right? She dies very quick. But against CC, pure CC with not a lot of revs, no messiahs and yellies, she's really strong. And when you pair her with like Lily, she's amazing. And if you can pair her against low damage teams, she's also very good. Kazi the Reverie, super annoying unit. S1 has 2 turn sleep. You can play her in like every playstyle. People build her on bruiser builds and just go ham with her and sleep you for 3 turns in a row. And you eventually win because Jackal Guard is very broken. Yeah. Now we have the strong tier characters. These characters are all also very strong, believe it or not. And some of them lower on the list are not going to be as good, obviously, but they still have some usage, which I'll talk about. Let me fix this by moving Chiaki and Mizuki up a bit. But basically, there's like something going on outside my house. I'm sorry if you guys hear like background, but basically Doki Doki is like super good against CC. Like I said earlier, you can speed contest with her. She's pretty good. Veronica's amazing in Bruiser Mirrors. Her S2 ignores Bloodbath and also Fushu Push, which is like really dumb. So just a really good character. Just nukes you AoE on Halloween. She's like spamming S2. It's really frustrating. Ling Luo, very good CC answer. Honestly, she should be like a counter pick. But like the thing is, you can still play her in Bruiser Mirrors, just not as good as the other healers. And Mizuki, you know, very good bruiser DPS, good against Tiamats and stuff like that. Very common counter pick in Ban Protect versus her. And Chiaki, you have like another healer option that is very good. Now Mio, some people play her in Bruiser, just not like the best character unless you have her maxed. Viper's like a decent DPS, but I feel like he's not that great unless you have Lily to cycle him quickly and like good healing support. Lilith is a good CC character, but you can only pick her if they don't have any way to cleanse your bombs, and you can kind of secure that, so it's kind of hard to use her. Mia's like on like a Swift Rush Time Weave build, I think, right now, and people are spamming, not spamming her, but using her with great success actually on like no Bloodbath, full HP, because her S2 and S3 are overpowered, but similar to Mio, she needs high investment. Infonial is a very good answer to, not answer, but a good, like a decent bruiser, you know, shielder, sustainer, and stuff like that. Not the best, but, you know, I've seen people use her as well. And Sudomo, just a very strong Tiamat answer. You can actually play him as a bruiser versus Tiamat, and I've seen him do okay, but I've seen others do like very poorly, so you need like a really cracked build, I think, on him. Now we have the counter picks. Rin is like one of the best Cleave counter picks, if not the best in my opinion. I might be biased because I spam her against Cleave, but I don't really ever lose against Cleave when I have her, unless it's like Cleave and CC, so she's really good there. Hoyan's also decent against non-Messiah Cleaves. Born is pretty good. If you have him on Dark Moon and you face a Lilium, you can like almost one-shot her, and if you have anyone else go with him, the Lilium just gets one-shot because Dark Moon interaction with his S3 is pretty insane. Catching the Guard, good against CC. Kind of hard to use, honestly, because he doesn't dispel, so you know, you get your immunity up, and then if they dispel your immunity off, he kind of just loses his usefulness. So hard to use him, but you can pick him on 4-5 in very specific scenarios. I've seen people use him. Celine, honestly, I think she's a really good character, but she just needs to be maxed, and no one wants to max her and like try her, so here we are. And then Valerian, just kind of like a Cleave counter, not really. I just put her here because I felt bad. So yeah. Now, of course, we have the Cleave and CC characters. I'm going to show you guys a tier list for that and what characters are just super strong in this setup. So this is my list for Cleave and CC, basically turn 1. It's kind of very all over the place, and I'll explain why. It's basically this playstyle. You have to be able to pivot between both Cleave and CC if you want to climb to the higher ranks. You can play just one, but you can get countered a lot more easily in draft, especially if you play against the same person like twice in a row. And also on top of that, unless you're like giga fast and everything's on rev, it's really hard to just purely play Cleave because you're gonna go against stuff like, you know, Rin, you're gonna go against stuff like Tiamat, you're gonna go against like Fushu and Sonya, right? So you really want to punish people if they overcommit to countering one playstyle, right? And the best way is just by flexing between the two. Now I think honestly, like every single character you see here, you can make work in a Cleave team. That's why there's nothing that says like bad, because Cleave units, honestly, if you just go, if you're fast enough, if you have the right setup, they end up being amazing. They're very dynamic. There's multiple ways you can actually use their characters. So it makes it so that the meta is very diverse for cleaving, which is really cool. but also kind of complicated, and more so than a tier list, it's more important to know like how to formulate a team together that makes sense. But I'm gonna just show you guys, just from my experience, which characters just give people the most trouble and are picked the most often, so you can kind of just build them. But at the top we have Plume, really just broken character, we talked about her. Messiah, the only DPS that can like fully break through Bloodbath by himself. In fact, if you have Messiah, you can just ban protect him on 3, pick 4 supports around him that just buff his attack and also reset his cooldown, and he can just like 1v5. It's like, it's pretty insane. This character is really, really strong. Does he need a nerf? I don't really think so. I think his damage is overtuned, but you can still win against it by drafting as a bruiser player if you have a lot of characters built up. But I think, you know, Messiah probably shouldn't be nerfed because he's like the answer to Bloodbath defense teams on like Arena, so I think he's like fine. Very strong, and he might be very annoying to play against. In fact, whenever he S3s, you're probably clenching like I am whenever I fight him, but you know, it is what it is. He's just a really good unit. Freya. So Freya honestly might be like the second best, because if you end up fighting another cleave or speed player, you're gonna have to pick Freya because she's the fastest unit, like I mentioned, with her bulwark interaction. So yeah, just top tier. Lily, because of Lily things, you guys probably already know. Heinrich is like the best dispeller in the game. You can put him on Rev, you can put him on Codex, you can put him on Jackal. Makes him very flexible, doesn't require a lot of lattice, which is great. Doki Doki, amazing for any like for turn 1 team. You boost everyone, you reset cooldowns, you give them damage. You can even like dispel if you get like defense broken, and you're picking away one of the best dispellers in the game from turn 2 players. Lilium, same thing. You pick her early if you're playing CC, just because she's able to, you know, stop CC teams. And because of that, if you have her, they can't pick her. And she's also really good at breaking through Bloodbath. Similar to Messiah, she can break through Bloodbath with Tiger Yin. The only thing is she's single target, right? So you have to keep that in mind, and she's a lot more vulnerable to damage. Mio, just a really strong opener, huge turn meter steal, freeze and heal block, it's just super strong. Yeli, kind of like a worse version of Messiah, honestly. She does do better if the fight will drag out longer because you put defense down on characters, but you can't really play like a defend the Yeli comp because a lot of hold-ins that you fight, even like Mizuki's, might be on bulwark, so your defense down won't land and they're just super hard to kill. You also have Tsukiyomi, one of the best openers. You know, you can actually put her above Lily in terms of opening, but she's mostly just purely for those cleave openers, not really like CC openers, which Lily's just amazing at. And Mia, I think Mia is a very underrated cleave character that not a lot of people have built. Her S2 pushes back and dispels, and you can build her on Rev, and her S3 will reset your cooldowns and heals you, and you get damage reduction. So like, you have to realize when you're playing these comps, turn 1 comps, you're gonna get countered a lot. From like Bramble, from Holdens and stuff like that, from like Mizuki's and Vipers, right? And she kind of like mitigates that damage for you while also being able to just do everything you want in like a cleave CC opener. So really strong. I think she's really underrated. Gets ban protected a lot, and she's like actually super annoying to play against. Next we have the decent characters. So these characters are not going to really put super high prio on. You're probably looking at Sonya, Ling Luo, Fuxia and be like, what the hell is this guy smoking? I'll talk about that when I get there. But basically, like Rosa, Rin, good damage dealers. Celine on Rev's really strong. Romoka is actually pretty decent, honestly. There's a really high rank. He's like 3,500. He actually plays Romoka in Cleave. I'm pretty sure I got like absolutely ass blasted by his. But like this character is really strong, honestly. But there's like an interaction where I think her splash damage gets affected by Bloodbath when it's not supposed to in the text. So it's a lot weaker. But honestly, if that was fixed, I think she'd be really powerful, especially with Plume, because Plume has a Dispel and Defense Break. So if you can like Plume, push up, and then Romoka, you can like one-shot teams, right? And yeah, really, really underrated, I'd say. Holden is up here. He's like a Dispeller. Yeah, I mean, like, he's just a broken character. You kind of pick him to pick him away from turn 2, and then he can kind of, you know, Dispel as well, you know, push back characters, reset their cooldowns. And he also acts as a good anchor. So what I mean by anchor, it's not really a thing in these games yet in Etheria, but when you're picking Cleave, sometimes you end up picking like an anchor character. If anyone here watching at this point knows like Epic 7, Apocalypse Ravi was like a huge anchor pick when Cleave was when Epic 7 was at like its peak, which is like a bruiser, right? She was basically like a standard bruiser, right? But the reason why is because sometimes you're not going to kill everything, and Holden And also, I guess Apocalypse Ravi and Epic 7 had like a single target nuke that was good, and they were just really hard to kill and annoying. So it's kind of like a good anchor pick. Hell Kid, you can build him on fast rev, you can build him on fast just anything. Just a pretty strong character. The shield is really good, the immunity is very good. You have Batsby, you can set him up for like CC cleave, it's pretty decent. Giada, kind of coping, but I've seen someone use him, or use her, sorry. Sudamo, decent against Tiamat when you're cleaving as well. Yang and Hoyan, or Yang rather, not seen as much, but he's good on rev. Single target rev, Hoyan's pretty decent as kind of like another anchor single target nuker, but not as good as Lilium, not even close, or damage wise, so a little bit lower on the list. Chiaki's here, Chiaki the Echo, good pusher. Dyna on rev surprisingly does well. And then the 3 healers, you just pick them to pick them away. Especially Ling Luo and Fushu, I've seen some cleavers actually pick them early to pick it away and still use it. Because, yeah, your team just doesn't die. You're denying a CC cleanser in Ling Luo, and your team is a lot more tankier with Sanya and Fushu, and you just have more damage, so you eventually win. So, yeah, kind of like the standard cleave like mixture, which I've seen some top players do, which is actually very, very strong. Next we have CC. So all these characters you just kind of slot in when you want to CC her. The only difference between these characters is some of them have like extra things they can do which make them better. For example, you have Kachi, who can also push up and reset cooldown and attack buff, very good with Messiah teams and just like any team honestly, because he's actually really strong. Obel can dispel and CC lock you down, very annoying. Also does a ton of damage with his dots, which is underrated. And if you like proc a Tiamat to go into Amber with your dot, it doesn't actually put her in ultimate form, which is really annoying too. Casio does Casio things, just a lot of CC, and can single target lock down like a character or 2, just permanently. RC, just a rev unit, CC, and also defense break, does a ton of damage. Hizuki Mari, the new character, reduces healing, which honestly doesn't matter too much in Cleave, as much as you think, because healing is just overtuned. And she also can CC and also gives you a passive attack buff, so you don't have to worry about the attack buffers. Nahor, Kraken, kind of just like both do the same thing, they freeze, right? Don't really have a dispel that's very good. Nahor's a single target, so it's not really usable. And Lilith, kind of like a delayed CC'er, but don't really like her in CC because she needs to meet 2 effect resist checks. When you land the bombs, you need to actually land it and not get 10%ed or resisted. And then when the bombs detonate, you have to do it again, which I think doesn't make sense because, yeah, it should just not be checked for the detonation. And then below, we have the buffers. So we have Infonio, Beyontin, and also Dorothy the Wisher. These 2 characters, actually these 3, are mostly going to be used in those like super Messiah comps. Outside of that, not really. You can kind of do it with Lilium and Yeli as well. It kind of works, but best paired with Messiah. So yeah, just super attack buffs, and you're just playing to win on the first turn. So that is that. But yeah, pretty much it for this PvP tier list. I tried to make it as condensed as possible. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. And yeah, like I said, it's just my experience floating around like 3,500, like top 100 to top 50 at times. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.